Hi, this is Mark Henry. I'm here again to talk to you about another metaphysical topic. Today I want to talk about sex on the unseen level. Basically, what happens once you engage in the act of sex on the energetic level, on the spiritual level. Because we know that sex is both physical, emotional, psychological, and there's also a spiritual component to it. So we're going to talk a little bit about energy. In fact, right now. Okay, so according to the spiritual philosophy of Huna, which is Polynesian, and shamanism, when someone engages in an act of sex and there is sufficient desire and energy between them, that there are cords of energy that connect the chakras of the people involved. If it's a particular, really very carnal or base desire rather than something a little higher, that's probably going to be a root chakra type of connection. If it's something a little bit more loving, then it could be the heart chakra connection or some other type of connection. So the way that this happens is it's nothing inherent about the act of sex, but it is mostly the bringing up of the desire and the engaging and intention of the sex act, which creates these cords. They have to be mutually agreed upon, I guess. It isn't like if you have sex with somebody and afterwards they regretted it, an automatic connection was forged with this energy. It has to be kind of mutually agreed upon on a kind of an unseen level. So if you have a good experience and the other person has a good experience and they walk away and probably the line has been forged. Now, why exactly is this important? Well, it's important in a number of ways. One is that when these cords are connected between the two people, that it allows a transfer of energy and feelings between them. So if something is going on with one person, the other person may feel it as a transfer of energy through the cords. So you can imagine that if you're somebody who has sex regularly with a number of people, how this could actually be a problem. In fact, I think that there is a reason why when you see people who are very promiscuous, multiple sexual partners, they mentally and psychologically sometimes seem like in a bit of disarray. It's because that they have these connections with these other people from their past. Now, these cords are something that are temporary, so I guess that's the good news. It isn't like you're going to form these connections and then have them for the rest of your life. According to some spiritual philosophies, it takes about a year for them to go away, to kind of dissipate on their own without any type of help. So, of course, there are ways to actually get rid of these. One, you could wait it out. Two, you can apply a spiritual intervention to actually get rid of the cords. The other thing is that if you have a lot of self-awareness, you'll be able to tell what is me and my feelings and what's going on in my head and what is something else from someone else. And if you can determine what is what, then you can kind of block or at least tune out that other thing, the information, feelings from that other person. Now, this isn't the only, I guess, spiritual type of problem that could happen between two people. I know some people believe that when two people have sex, that they can actually transfer any type of entity. Let's say one of them has an entity that is attached themselves to them, that is actually draining some of their energy, just kind of something they didn't invite. Some people believe that when you have sex, then that entity can be transferred to the person you're having sex with. Some people refer to this as STDs, sexually transmitted demons, or sexually transmitted spirits, or whatever. I don't know too much about that, I believe it's possible, but I haven't had any direct experience. I can say that I have personal experience with these cords, these filaments. They're called Aka cords, like I was mentioning. I've had to have mine cut when a relationship didn't do so well, and I was part of a spiritual group, and I was dating my priestess at the time, and like I said, we broke up, and yet we needed to move on and kind of have the group, functioning without the conflict. So went through a spiritual intervention to have those cords cut. You can actually feel the disconnection at that point, and everything kind of went from there. So these cords cannot be seen, of course, unless you have clairvoyance. Then maybe you'd be able to view these through your own psychic perception. But it's something that I most likely feel with my perception rather than seeing, because I'm not as strong, I guess, visually than I am as kind of a psychic feeler. So I guess as far as advice is concerned, well, one is, and this is not a PSA, so be careful who you sleep with, because if you pick a wrong partner, even if there's a strong desire towards each other, you're going to forge those links. So if you have somebody who's very dysfunctional, violent, has a lot of serious behavior problems, a lot of serious psychological things going on, what this says is that you're going to be a part of that. You're going to feel that, and you're going to have to face that as something that maybe seem like a part of yourself. The second thing that comes to mind with this particular topic is that imagine that you're somebody who suffers from an anxiety disorder, and you happen to have sex with and get into a dating relationship with somebody who also has an anxiety disorder. Well, guess what? You're dealing with your own anxiety and your own issues, and now through these cords, you are also being transmitted the energy, the feelings of this person and their anxiety and their triggers for their anxiety. So while you can deal with your stuff, you're actually going to feel the other person's, and vice versa. So that's going to be very hard for your recovery from your anxiety disorder. Or the same thing with someone who is depressed and dates somebody who is also struggles with that particular issue. That's going to be hard for each person to cheer themselves up if they have a chronic problem with that. So keep that in mind. I've heard the saying that I would never date someone like me. Well, in a way, those people might have a lot of wisdom, because when you have a partner who is a little bit of opposite in you, that actually can help you integrate different energies and different parts, and you can actually learn from them. I guess that's where the saying opposites attract. So as long as there is a commonality and things about yourselves on other levels that you can connect with, that would be cool. It brings me to another thought so what exactly are you saying? Should I intentionally date somebody or have sex with people that are the opposite of me? For example, if you have a depressed person, if you're a depressed person, should you have sex and date someone who is very positive? It's a thought. You may not be able to resonate with them on that level, but I imagine that having two depressed people who are keeping themselves stuck may be worse than somebody where you have that transfer of different energy. Just a thought. Okay, well, I might actually talk about Aka cords in another video, because there's a little more to it than what I've been sharing with you. But in any case, thank you for listening, and I will see y'all later.